Alejandro Gallo, Ryan Pritchard, Reed Lehman, Zach Nash, and myself. Is marching band, drum corps, whatever, marching arts, this has been going around on social media this week, and it's been kind of entertaining watching the comments. Is marching band, drum corps, is that a sport or no?
Wait, can we start with like one-worded answers and then explain what we all think?
Okay. You want me to start?
Yeah.
Who cares? Your
okay. No. But also that.
I have to commit right now?
You got to commit.
Yeah, you have to commit and defend your stance.
I'll fall on the sword of no.
Okay.
I'm definitely going to say no. I would say there's moments of athleticism. But no, it's not a sport.
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, sure, that too.
That wasn't an answer. That wasn't an acceptable answer, though.
You know, people can't talk with nuance.
Okay,
you have to
yes
have
or
an
no.
answer, because if not,
I also forgot Sydney's here too.
yeah.
Oh yeah, we got.
She doesn't have a mic. We
Hanging
just don't
out
let her
in the
talk.
back.
You know. Like,
We just feed her salad and make sure she doesn't say anything.
I mean, as far as like legitimacy, sure, I'd call it a sport. Like I as every bit as much as why. So saying
what
no,
qualifies for a
why
sport
do you
for you?
why do you say no? Let's pick this apart a little bit.
Are you talking to me?
Anybody? Why do you say no?
Because it has a panel of judges and it's all like, is it objective? And
Sort of like figure skating
Figure skate was where I was going to go with this.
sure,
or gymnastics
sure,
or boxing.
sure.
Here's the thing about all the things you just mentioned.
It's a competitive athletic activity, but it's not a sport. Like I would argue that it's more an art. It's art.
All the
over-
things you
I
just-
just think.
But figure skating's not.
all of the
I
things
didn't
you
say
just
that.
mentioned.
You said that.
right?
I'm just saying that
But
it's
figure
an art.
skating is an Olympic sport.
Yeah, but I'm not comparing it to anything. We're talking about whether this is a sport or not. I'm saying it isn't. It's more art. I'm not having any opinions on anything else. You're trying to bait me into some other kind of argument.
I would never do that.
But I have a retort to this. The reason why it is not a sport and figure skating is because the way you are scored in figure skating is completely objective. You will do a triple sow cow or whatever the thing is, right?
Unless
There's
you're a
certain
Russian
set of
judge.
criteria, whatever that saw cow. I don't even know. What
I
the-
don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, there are specific criteria that you must do. None of it has to do with subjective material. That comes along with it as a viewer. Like I can enjoy it. It is artful, but what makes it a sport is that stuff isn't considered. In the marching activity, that's what 40%.
But that is considered in gymnastics when they do the floor routines.
Artfulness.
Or is it
They
creativity?
have,
It's like
like,
some box for that.
somewhat of a GE type.
But there are also concrete things that are measured in drum corps.
Yeah, but I think it's that 40% that makes it not a sport.
Not only that, but the concrete things that are measured in drum corps are also completely objective. Like, what is it? There's that.
Subjective.
Well, I don't.
BD got a perfect score in 2019, and there are tons of people that disagree with it.
Yeah, but
And
there's
it's like-
also you always have figure skating controversies where there's like a Russian judge who disagreed with everybody else in the panel. Like you always have that. But I also think that like is expecting a drum line to play a clean triplet roll different than expecting a figure skater to do a triple axel?
Yes,
Why?
because you're not expected to play a triplet roll.
Who?
I think you are.
I don't think that's true.
I mean, I don't think you're just as much as you're expected to play a triple axel. You don't have to do a triple axel in your routine.
But there has to be some measurable content that is in. I mean, I gotta be completely honest here. I don't have the figure skating rule book.
That's
out
why I
here,
stopped
so-
talking. I was like,
So-
I don't know what I'm talking about. You guys could
Do
take
you
it
know?
away.
Do you have the figure skating?
I happen to
handbook?
be
Maybe
a figure skater in my
I
free time.
knew it.
Definitely. You ever see that? You ever see that thing where like they? I forget who did it. It was super funny. I don't know. Maybe you showed it to me, Ryan. I don't know. It was like the Olympics would be so much better if every sport they had like an average guy go out and try to do it, so they could. They had like you had a scope of comparison for the actual athletes. Athletes. So like a guy in like cargo shorts and like a beer gut goes out and tries to figure skate.
There's your baseline.
Like, I think that would be awesome.
Well, the figure skating yearbook is or rule book is 525 pages. If you want to read through it, and
We're gonna need you to dig in.
So I can get a bunch of hate mail about what I'm about to say. You could look at at a section like the 1993 Star of Indiana.
Uh-oh. I know where this is going.
I don't.
Hate mail's coming.
Supposed to be the one of the pinnacle of drum corps. And those people who are fanatic about that group will still say, I'm not sure we've ever reached that level of artfulness since then.
Yeah.
But if you watch that stuff, it's apparently you, and maybe again, maybe this has changed in over the decades, but you can get credit and still not demonstrate all of the skills of their counterparts who potentially could be even worse in the scale, right? Like I'm sure, I have no doubt that
Just say
Vanguard played way more technically difficult skills, or demonstrated that they could attempt them. I'm trying to do this without getting a whole
you
bunch
are
of comments.
being so careful.
Yeah, I'm just not. I'm
Just
like
say it.
struggling to understand. 'Cause
What Star did was they played a Mickey Mouse, book at a very, very, very high level of execution.
Which I think is cool.
Yeah, I like that.
Which I think is cool. Like we like to throw around the phrase, "It's not what you do, it's how you do it," and that, sure. But I think to the point of detrimentally, like
Could you do that in figure skating? Could you?
I think so.
You could perform an outstandingly exceptional performance and do next to nothing and still be competitive.
Well, I mean that ratio of next to nothing.
That's what I was gonna say. You
I
have
don't
to-
know how next to
Is
nothing
that
that is.
that's where the hate mail's going to come. No, I mean I know they obviously there's skill there, right? But
I also think I wasn't there, and all I have are some of the videos and things I've seen, and obviously like it's hard to make those comparisons to me because like I didn't even what was I in 4th grade or something at the
yeah,
time.
right.
But and then like the media back then was so limited compared to what we have today. So even what we do have, like the audio is not very good, the video quality is not very good. But what does strike me when we look at videos of that group is I do think musically, yeah, I think it was pretty like simplistic in terms of like density and vocabulary. But I do think they were asking that group to move more aggressively, maybe than they ever had anybody before.
Agreed.
Maybe. So if that factors into the difficulty of it, I don't know.
Still, we're venturing into subjective territory,
I just
which
think-
screams art to me.
The whole is marching band or is band, drum corps, anything like that, is it a sport, is so, I don't know. And you even have, isn't WGI, don't they call themselves the sport of the arts? And all
Is that
kind of
WGI
stuff?
or DCI?
No, that's
WGI.
That's
WGI.
Okay.
Yeah.
DCI is like
Marching music's major league.
Yeah, so they're all
So
trying.
stupid platitudes,
They
right?
like try so hard to kind of associate themselves, but I'm just kind of like,
Isn't major league a
yes,
sport?
if you want to like think technically, like, I don't know, if you want to, and there's that video that you see all the time floating around of like, oh, this drum corps tenor player is just like a soccer player, and yeah, there's athletes out there, they're doing, they're exerting the same amount, if not more in certain cases or whatever. So yeah, I guess you call it a sport like that, but like, why do people in, I'll say the buzzword, the activity, why do they want to be associated? Why do they try so hard to be like, hey, let us into your club?
I think it's
I was
because
really just gonna go there,
people
too.
think. I think it's because people think that if it's classified as a sport, it brings it some kind of legitimacy or something.
Is,
Not
I don't
only-
think it matters.
is it true that
Yeah.
chess is a sport? Is that a real thing?
I think it is considered a sport.
Chess?
Can you,
It
can
is,
you look
yeah.
that
I've
up,
never
Zach?
heard that
I got
before.
you.
Is it really?
I'll look
But
it
backing off Reed's point, I think it's because in general the world legitimizes sports over art,
Right.
and that's why it's like I want to be a
Right.
part of the club.
Actually-
but like art runs the. I mean, art. I don't know what the exact numbers would be. Probably
so-
generates more revenue than sports from all performing artists, all things concerning all facets of
tough.
art. Like, and I'm
be a
sure the
tough
numbers
one.
would be too astronomical to calculate. But both push out like if because what I mean, most people that watch sports can't play sports. Like Most of the people that I've ever met that are diehard football fans have literally never touched a football. So like, I don't understand how like the elitism for sports comes from. Like it's a very select few people. Like all these people do sports in high school and grade school and all that, and never go on to do anything else. But they still feed this mindset that sports are above art or sports are more important than this. Or I mean, even during COVID, we saw that people were allowed to go to wrestling tournaments and sweat on each other and cough on each other, but we couldn't have marching band. Like
that's a fair point.
God forbid.
I think that a lot of this whole like is marching band a sport or hey we're just as good as you kind of argument is, I don't know. I feel like so much of that goes on when it's like band nerds trying to share a field with the football team, or like or like being. Or just people being mad that, hey, my kid's out here doing this while you're buying a hot dog in halftime, or I don't know, whatever.
It's tied to the ego. I think
it's like, hey, there's people there to watch football, and that's cool. And then there's some people there to watch band, but I mean, most people at those events are there to watch the football game. Really,
that is actually some truth to that. That we've defined ourselves by the venue that we perform at, which happens to be designed for a completely different purpose.
Yeah. So yeah, not like, I don't know. It's just like, yeah, it's athletic and stuff, but why do we have to keep being mad at people for like, for most people liking football or whatever, it's just like, we can do our own thing. And
I don't want to be a part of that club.
Yeah.
No,
everybody
I think
here knows like it's hard, it's just hard to do. It's very athletic or whatever. So, and the argument's not really, I don't think it comes from the other side that much as people might think.
I also think that the people who cry the most about band is a sport are also in bands that are definitely not a sport.
But also on the other side,
you always hear that from the people that are like, don't want to do anything.
By the way, do you remember in the mid 2000s how they started to try to make the broadcasts more like a sporting event, what they perceived as a sporting event?
They even went on ESPN too,
and it's super awkward. It's almost cringy. How awkward it was.
But they also we talked about this before. They'll do that, but then they won't do the things that sports do, where they get under the hood and get into the drama of it.
Except for the Glassman. They did rip apart the Glassman for some reason.
But all they would do is make everything's perfect in drum corps land,
right?
And everybody's happy, and these kids are the best kids in the world, and we're all wonderful. And
nothing
bad ever happens here.
I always thought it would be cool to, I don't know, I follow a lot of hockey and stuff like that, but it's always fun to follow the team drama, who what coach got fired and then where are they going next and stuff like that. And I wish it was just like, yo, did you hear so and so fired their percussion captain head, and then it's like, then the next tweet is this just in, this corps hires. You know what I mean? That would just be
that's what
would be fun.
It's so weird to me with the people that just blindly follow sports. It's like they don't play the sport, so what's keeping them there? It's the tribalism, it's the being involved.
It's fun.
But and again, and on the other side of the argument, most people that are yelling band isn't a sport are also people that are the least athletic I've ever seen in my life. It's people that literally never set foot in a park to run a mile, or couldn't run a 40-minute mile if they tried. And they're like, oh, band's not a sport. It's like, how would you know? You're literally the least capable person I know of athletic activity, and you're arguing this?
I mean, I could care less what people want to classify.
Exactly,
it as. Because honestly, I don't even think
it's so dumb.
Band to band, one marching band to another marching band at the high school level could be so different that it's more offensive to me to classify those two things as the same than it is to classify band as a sport or not. I don't want to.
What I also,
you know what I'm saying? Some bands out there think they're doing what.
It's just that's so tough because then
I'm being careful now.
Yeah, well, it's when people try to pick up a guitar and play music, they're like, oh yeah, bro, I'm a musician too. I play in my spare time, and it's I don't want to be the elitist guy who's are you really this? Because this is what I do and this is what I'm involved with. It's yeah, they're still musicians. They're still a part of it. It's a lot of people on they try to discredit people that make music on SoundCloud. They're you're not a real musician. You don't perform. You don't do this. You don't do that. And it's yeah, they kind of still are. They're still musicians, and even if professionals or violinists or classical musicians don't want to be associated with them. Like, they're literally still performing within the realm of music. And I think inherently that is why people get mad about this whole topic. It's the whole ego thing. Like, I don't want to be associated with them because they're bad. It's like, that doesn't matter if you're good at what you do. Like, you know what you do, and you can just be in your own league instead of trying to compare yourself to other leagues. Like,
Yeah, sure. I mean, offended is not the right word. It's more like annoying.
but what exactly? So why are you annoyed? Why is that annoying to you?
Not from my perspective, for theirs. Because I think a lot of those people think that they are the same. And that's annoying because it's a lack of awareness of what's actually happening on the other side.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, I agree. I just stopped giving it energy
Yeah,
a long
I
time
don't
ago. I
know.
stopped giving it thought.
It's just like what I also think is funny is we talked about social media like a little bit earlier, but why do people get so they go so crazy over, like, let's call it drumcore Twitter or like drumcore or band Facebook, all that kind of stuff? It's like, why is the same like post come up like a couple times a year and it's the same reaction every time? Like, is marching band a sport? That sentence just went viral.
People are out of their
Yeah,
minds.
and it's
like they've
like-
never heard that before.
It's like, wait. We're still.
We just did it like
Yeah.
6 months ago.
Right.
And that had like the most shares ever. And this is on these, private groups that you have to like prove that you're in band to like get in. And it's like, wait, that's what we're talking about once we're here.
No,
It's weird.
and all it always dives into is like nobody. The root of the discussion is like nobody agrees on the definition of what a sport is.
right.
there you go.
Well, I have,
You know what I mean?
I
I
have
was
the
just gonna ask,
Google
yeah.
definition right here.
Which
And
actually,
it's
by
chess.
the
And it's
dictionary,
sport.
by the dictionary definition, I think it would be qualified
Yeah.
as sport.
But the dictionary on Google says an activity involving physical exertion and skill in which an individual or team competes against another or others for
entertainment.
entertainment.
All right.
Or
You heard it.
But
you heard it here.
if you look at-
it's
I
And
also-
they even use the word entertainment.
Yeah, I looked up the chess a sport, and the way that they define a sport is an activity with a defined set of rules and etiquettes,
which would make chess a sport.
which makes
There you
chess a
go.
sport.
Divine.
I think that
Defined.
Defined.
Oh, defined. I was like, that's a
Oh,
weird
yeah.
word
They-
to
The
use.
church is a sport.
They have esports now
Gotta,
too,
like,
so that in
kneel and
itself
stand
is,
and kneel and
is
stand,
proof.
I just think doing band is fun sometimes.
Yeah, like why
That's
does
it.
Why do we have to have this conversation? Of,
Yeah.
See,
I mean, I think it's just because some people feel like sports are legitimate, so if we're considered a sport, or like,
Yeah.
we're not inferior to the football players, like that.
I think
kind of
that-
thing.
I'm just kind of like,
for me,
why not just be different and be okay with it and
well,
focus on something else?
Here's my stance. I don't care unless we get more money
Yeah.
for a sport. Then we'll tackle
We're a
the
sport,
other bands,
right.
whatever
Yeah,
we got to
yeah,
do.
yeah.
We're a
Yeah.
sport.
We're all
If-
for, I'm all in on
if
sport.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's-
I do think it's important though that like it's not treated different. At least in talking in like public school, it's not treated as something that's inferior or not as much of a priority, which definitely happens.
Definitely.
Definitely happens. And then I
More
think
often
it's
than not.
problematic.
I think that's the root of the argument.
But I don't think it needs to be like, who cares if it's a sport or
Yeah.
not? It's just if kids in that can be just as passionate, just as competitive, just as driven as a kid in a sport, and like in that way, I think the interests need to be equal. Call it whatever you want. Who
Right.
cares?
Well,
Who cares what label?
It
you
comes
put on
from people having angst about either not getting the fair treatment in the education systems or whatever. But it's like, stop trying. Don't go at it that way. Like, stop
Yeah.
trying to like.
It's the wrong
us-
argument.
Yeah.
The world like finally having a consensus. Like, imagine if we just called a convention and it's just like, all right, we're gonna write it into law. Marching band is a sport. Like, that's not gonna.
They
that's
changed
not gonna
Pluto that
change
way.
anything.
You know,
True.
it might
Pluto
change,
is no longer
it
a
might-
planet because of
Yeah.
that.
I want to actually.
It might change something.
You know how like Pluto when it was like we're not a planet and then it was like, oh no, it's a planet again. I want that to happen to band and see what happens.
It might change something though. The next time there's a pandemic,
Oh, true.
if it's classified as a sport, we'll have to keep doing it.
Well, technically,
We had to keep wrestling
That is
and
technically-
sweating
I
on
like
each
it.
other.
Technically-
Couldn't stop that.
technically in
But we had to stop
Pennsylvania, marching bands have to follow PIAA rules. So in Pennsylvania, marching band is classified as a scholastic sport.
Hell yeah.
They just didn't get treated the same way.
Yeah, I mean that's just
There it is,
That's
PA
just how it
decided.
is.
Well, we didn't really have a choice because the competitive circuits we're in go beyond Pennsylvania. So
Yeah.
PIAA doesn't have any.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if they cancel the circuit for everybody.